out to you guys is sometimes labels don't say low sodium, but the product actually has a lower sodium content than the ones that do say low sodium. So these tomatoes here say no salt added at all, which is an awesome option, and it only has 15 milligrams of sodium. But this particular product here, which doesn't say anything, only has 5 milligrams of sodium because it's organic and natural and, I don't know, just processed differently. So you don't always just want to count on the label on the front telling you what your best option is. You really want to look at those side labels to make sure that you understand that you're making the best choice. All right, so let's talk convenience again. We talked about the spaghetti sauce and how we just want to grab that jar of pre-made sauce to get dinner on the table quickly. So rice in and of itself has 0 milligrams of sodium, which is awesome. Now, this quick cooking rice or microwave rice, it actually has 10 milligrams of sodium, so I'm not quite sure what they added to this. But when you look at the butter and garlic option, which you think, they just add some butter and garlic to it, how bad could it be? It actually has 750 milligrams of sodium in this packet. So you literally could take this packet, add the no salt added butter that we talked about earlier, and some garlic, fresh garlic, or even garlic powder, and you would have a side dish with 10 milligrams of sodium instead of 750 milligrams of sodium in this exact same thing. Okay, so now we're going to explore the cereal and breakfast aisle. And again, it comes down to reading labels, guys. I know I sound like a broken record, but you just never know what the right choice is. I mean, when you look at these 3 boxes of cereal, which do you think would be the best choice? I'm going to guess nobody guessed the Donuts cereal for multiple reasons, but it actually only has 115 milligrams of sodium compared to the regular Cheerios, which has 140 milligrams of sodium. But ultimately, your best choice would be the shredded wheat because it has 0 milligrams of sodium. Now, that doesn't mean you can't eat any of these. You certainly can. None of them are ridiculously high in sodium, but again, it's just making the choices as to where you want your sodium content to land. Do you want it to be in your breakfast cereal, or do you want it to be in lunch and dinner? It's just a choice for you. But again, reading those labels is key. Okay, so when we think about baking, we have to think about what ingredients we're using as well. And baking soda in a serving, which is 1/8 of a teaspoon, which most recipes call for at least a teaspoon, has 150 milligrams. So you're talking times 4 to put into any of your baked products. Now, baking powder has 60 milligrams in 1/8 of a teaspoon. I was able to find online, I can't find it in the grocery store today, but I was able to find online a baking powder with no sodium in it, and that would be my first choice for you to order that online. But if you have to choose, always go with baking powder over baking soda. Now, that will mean that some of your things won't rise as much as they normally do with baking soda, but they'll be a little dense, but you'll have a better choice and still be able to eat those fun foods that you like to enjoy. Let's talk about canned soup. You're way better off to make your own soup, and it's super simple using those stocks that I shared with you earlier, because this can of Campbell's soup is 940 milligrams of sodium in a serving, and this can has 2.5 servings in it. So that's like ridiculous. And this Heart Healthy or Healthy Request has 410 milligrams of sodium in each serving, and there's 2.5 servings. So in my opinion, neither one of these are a good choice. When you can throw some rice and some pre-cooked chicken into one of those stocks that we talked about and have about 80 to 90 milligrams of sodium in a serving of soup. Okay, so obviously butter comes into play in a lot of different ways. It's a main ingredient in a lot of your baking, but it's also things that we add to toast and potatoes and things like that. So you're taking things like potatoes that have no sodium in it, and you could be piling on a ton of sodium by adding the condiments to the top of it. So the great thing is that unsalted butter is the easiest solution. There's absolutely no sodium in it. And then if you choose the regular butter, you're going to have to be really careful because 1 tablespoon of butter has 90 milligrams of sodium. And we all know none of us are using 1 tablespoon of butter on our baked potato. So we really need to be cautious about this ingredient because it's something that we utilize as a foundation to a lot of recipes, and we want to make sure that we're making good choices. I actually have a recipe that I'm going to share with you guys this week that is for chocolate chip cookies, and each cookie only has 2 milligrams of sodium because I used unsalted butter and I didn't add salt to the batter, and you can't even tell. Oh, and I used sodium-free baking powder instead of baking soda, which eliminates almost all the soda out of the cookies. Okay, so another great product that they've provided for us is when you're looking at chips, there's a lot of no salt options. So for instance, these tortilla chips, they have the salted version and then they have the no salted version. And the no salted version has 0 milligrams of sodium. Like corn chips have no sodium in it if it's not added. And then the salted option has 55 milligrams, which isn't horrible, but if you could go without, why add sodium to your corn chip choice? All right, so let's talk bacon. I'm sure you all think that you'll never get to eat bacon again on a low sodium diet, but they do make low sodium options, which means that you can have it occasionally. I would not want to make it your full everyday choice, but it's also important to still read the labels because these 2 low sodium options are completely different. This one only has 200 milligrams of sodium and this one has 240. So you really want to make sure that you're still reading the labels even if it says low sodium on the front of the package. Okay, so let's talk convenience now. We all get home from work, we're super busy, and we want to put a fast dinner together, and so we all grab the jarred spaghetti sauce to make pasta. And the good news is pasta has 0 sodium in it. I don't care what brand it is, I don't care what kind it is, it has no sodium in it whatsoever. But the spaghetti sauce, that's a different story. So the traditional Prego has 480 milligrams of sodium. The low sodium Prego, both traditional style, has only 360. So you're talking 120 milligrams less in the low sodium option, which if you have to make a choice like that, it is obviously the better choice. And as I shared with you guys last week, my homemade marinara recipe that has literally 0 sodium in it, very low, not 0. But what's super awesome is if you're at a store like this, which is like your local market, they have a local brand that says no salt added at all. So this only has 20 milligrams of sodium compared to the 480 and the 360. So you have to look around and you have to try to find those diamonds in the rough where you can save, 350 milligrams of sodium by just making a different choice.